right, live on YouTube, live on Rumble. Y'all already know. Welcome back, Team DWC. It's your boy TWP Popcorn. Y'all already know what time it is. It's 6 p.m. on Wednesday. If not, it'll be 10 a.m. Saturday or 10 a.m. Sunday, aka another day in paradise. Let you know at the beginning of every video when to come looking for me. That way, in case you don't see me, you know, hey, he should be live somewhere because, you know, consistent corn been in the building since 2021. You dig? Anyways. Let's see. We got a whole lot of videos and stuff to do today. So let me get this camera ready to go so y'all can be on y'all's journey with me, right? Camera setting, flip it around, bring it out. That's like super zoomed in. I don't like it, but hell, we'll have to make it work, right? Yep. That looks about there. Bring back the chat. Bring the chat back. So I can know when some people in here. Shouts out to y'all. We got 1,554 subscribers currently. That means I'm up for in the last couple of days, which I appreciate. Scully, y'all know to go check out Scully's last reading from last night. If y'all wasn't up late, I can relate, but you know, I was there, so you know, I'm gonna tell y'all to go be at the replay. Shouts out to y'all, because y'all probably leave a comment before I did, but I was there, so you know, that part counts. Yeah, that's the one thing about sucks about being involved during the live. You'll forget to go back and comment after the live. But you know, if I was there the whole time, it doesn't matter. Start to finish, you'll see me somewhere. I might have been quiet for a few minutes, but I was there lurking and working. You know how we do. Shouts out to Scully, though. I appreciate him for reading to us because, you know, hell, somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. Anyways, let's see. We got our What's Poppin' playlist pulled up because it's Wednesday. You know, that's what day we like to ask. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? You know what I'm saying? Piff, good to see you. How you doing? Blood Dragon. Y'all know to go check out his video from earlier today because he was live this morning. I don't even know if it was this morning, but it was around the time that I got up. But, you know, he was up, so I was up, so we got up together. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his THING, and then I came by later on to do mine. You see what I'm saying? Who else in the building? Let's see. Yeah, we got Piff, Scully, and Blood Dragoon. Hell, we got us a crowd today. Hell, appreciate y'all stopping by and staying high. I know y'all staying fly either way, you know how we do. Back to the videos. Let's get them cracking for the day, right? Shout out to that big homie produced this intro beat. Y'all know if y'all need one, go get one. You dig? Whether you got something in mind or you just want to vibe out to one of the ones he done put out, get you some. And I appreciate how the studio got it fixed to where I can chat on Rumble and YouTube same time. See, they getting it together. I'm telling y'all, Rumble Studios. That way you can be on multiple platforms all at the same time.
Heads cannot possess firearms. That is the law, federal law. This says if you are an addict of unlawful substances or a user of unlawful substances, including cannabis, even though it's legal in many, many states, you cannot lawfully possess a firearm.
Shout out to Matt. You know, he coming with some facts.
Firearm if you occasionally blaze up. That's the question we're going to answer today. So let's get straight on into it.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this is an issue that I have taken personal interest in, maybe because I live in a state that has legalized cannabis, and despite the fact that our state is screwed up 6 ways to Sunday, it's actually not because of the legalized cannabis industry. No, and perhaps it's the fact that I really do strongly support personal choices, personal lifestyle choices, and I realize that there are many people around the country who have medical conditions that are actually managed by physicians through the use of medical cannabis, and yet now they have to have a choice between getting proper medical care or exercising what is supposed to be a God-given inalienable right. We even followed a lawsuit out of Florida filed by Nikki Fried, the agricultural secretary down there, challenging the prohibitions in federal law against what? Well, against those who use marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, from possessing or having in control a firearm or being able to purchase a firearm. It puts a squeeze on marijuana users. It puts a squeeze on the FFL industry. But maybe we need to have a new discussion about that in the post-Bruin world. Maybe we really need to have a discussion about that in the post-Rahimi world. And actually, maybe that discussion already happened and we've gotten a huge ruling out of a court that matters. So today, let's spend a few minutes and go get you up to speed on when marijuana users get the same rights as the rest of us. United States District Court for the Western District of Texas in beautiful El Paso, Texas. Now, what was initially challenged and then what was ultimately challenged on a kind of a do-over here, two separate statutes. One is 18 United States Code 922 Section G3. We know that is potheads cannot possess firearms. That is the law, federal law, that says if you are an addict of unlawful substances or a user of unlawful substances, including cannabis, even though it's legal in many, many states, you cannot lawfully possess a firearm.
So you guys see right off the rip confusion. At the federal level, it's still illegal, but at the state level, it may be legal. I think 34 states have medical, and I think 24 have recreational. My figures may be off. I'm going to double check, but you can see right there, there's a little bit of a confusion, and that can cause issues for people when they're trying to figure out what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing to do. So let's move on. The U.S. Law Shield actually breaks this down very well.
I have a medical marijuana license. Does that prevent me from being able to purchase or possess firearms? How does that work?
Yes.
And this is a little bit different because it's not just like you're recreationally using it. Right here, we're speaking about medical use. So if you got an issue, a medical issue, and it's been directed by a physician that you...
Now, y'all know what I say. That's like telling the person who's on heart meds that they can't take their heart meds because they've now become illegal, okay? Come on now, you know they try to tell y'all that dumb shit. Well, you can't do such and such because now your heart meds are illegal. So you're literally saying I have to just, wait for my heart to go out and die type of shit, which is what they're telling you. Oh, now, you know how I am. I don't take guns nowhere. They're at home put up for a reason, right? Because if you come to my house tripping, I'm going to shoot your ass. End of the damn day. I'm not going out looking for problems. But when problems come, I shoot first and don't call the police later. You see what I'm saying? What happened? Well, Billy said he was going to Freddie's house to go fuck him up. Well, he ain't came back? No. Well, we're not going to go looking for him either. Hey, you better remember that. You come to my house looking for some problems, you're going to damn well find them. Because as the genie of the lamp, it's my job to give you what you came for. Oh, you came here for some problems. Well, okay. What level would you like? Do you want to go home? Because I can send you home. But if I can't send you home, you're not going home.
Need to use some sort of medical cannabis. That can really help you out. But in this situation, you're actually running foul of the law, especially if you are a 2A advocate.
Now, on a side note to that, the only thing you got to do is make sure you buy your guns before you renew your prescription. You see what I'm saying? Make sure the guns are at home, put up where they need to be. That way, when somebody come to you with that bullshit, if they didn't catch your ass at home, you know to sit down and be quiet. Okay, well, hopefully there's a bail. If there ain't a bail, there's going to be a bail because they ain't going to keep me for the rest of my life. We'll have what they know as that show Prison Break up in this bitch. You know what I mean? They ain't going to catch me on no, hey, we got you. All right, y'all got me today. I'm going to let y'all have that today, but I'm going to find me a way up out of here, because that's my job. It's y'all job to catch me. It's my job not to stay caught, right? Uh-oh, I got
this is one of the more complicated "it depends" answers you're going to hear from lawyers, because we don't really have great legal authority for you. So, of course, we have marijuana being illegal under federal law.
Right.
We've got it legal under some states' laws.
Yeah.
And that really puts your licensing status in a tough spot because let's say you're in a state where marijuana is legal. You have a medical marijuana card. I'm just going to, we're here in Texas. We do not have legal marijuana, but let's call it Colorado.
Sure.
Right? So you've got that, you've got some sort of documentation that you are a lawful user of marijuana.
Right.
You would think the state of, let's say, and this is just hypothetical, Colorado, would say, okay, well, that's fine. That's just like, having a beer or a glass of wine every once in a while and also having a carry permit, no problem. The problem comes in that most states have a requirement when getting that carry license that you have to be otherwise qualified to purchase and possess firearms under federal law, right?
And they're reporting it to the feds in many of these states.
Exactly. So
if they're reporting to the feds, definitely got to be careful that you don't line yourself up or set yourself up for trouble. So just keep that in mind.
Are you, number one, going to be not qualified to possess under federal law, which means you're already committing a crime if you've got that carry license carrying and you have your marijuana card.
Check side eye.
Or potentially,
he's like, yeah, that's risky. Check it again.
Your marijuana card. Or potentially,
he's like, yeah, don't do that.
Is your state going to say, well, we know that we say marijuana is legal.
Right.
However, you still can't get your carry license because you have to be qualified under federal law as part of our state's law, and you're not.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's a tough situation because I talk to clients who say, hey, I have a condition. I don't want to use hardcore narcotics, maybe CBD, maybe marijuana, maybe legally, illegally. And they don't want to sacrifice their Second Amendment rights because they found some alternative that they find is a lesser of two evils. And it puts a lot of people in a really tough spot.
It does.
That's a really important point. And shout out to my homie for raising that point on that video. But what he is saying is that there are a lot of hard drugs, a lot of pharmaceutical drugs that have really negative side effects, and they really are just super expensive. They cost a lot. So a lot of people who do not have that sort of financial flexibility may not be able to actually obtain those drugs. So having an alternative such as medical marijuana might actually be a really great alternative that a lot of people can.
Speaking of which, people ain't got an hour and a half to be sitting at Walgreens to wait on a prescription in the line, because that's just horrible and ridiculous. Imagine that. You got to go to Walgreens just to pick up your prescription. Hell, when was the last time y'all went to a Walgreens? You ain't never in and out that motherfucker unless you like first person of the morning. You got to wake up early and then lose that time to be early to be first. Hell, ain't nobody got time for that because, hell, that's a job in itself picking up prescriptions. As soon as the motherfucker say, oh, I need to go to Walgreens to get my prescription, I'm going to drop your ass off and call me when you're ready.
And explore. And some people just don't want to do the hard drugs thing. They prefer to get some CBD, some THC. So it's definitely something that a lot of people find themselves in a tight position when it comes to the 2A rights and trying to exercise your health and make sure that everything is above board.
And so, that's all very, I know, lawyers telling you, I don't know.
Right.
Practically, my advice would be, you should think about, you're essentially choosing between two rights, right? If you're in a place where it's legal to use marijuana, if you want to be safe and you want to be careful, you need to make a choice between your Second Amendment right and this other legal, ability to use marijuana. Because if you put them together, could you potentially lose those Second Amendment rights? Potentially, yes.
Yeah. So in this situation, you got to pick between a 2A right, a right which is enshrined under the Constitution, and your health. Isn't that crazy? Making people pick between a right, which is afforded under the Constitution, which may conflict with something. I think that that's absolutely crazy. But let me know what you guys think. And if you guys are getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. These things help us out a lot. And let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things, we don't have good legal authority yet to break it down. And until we have good legal authority, do you want to be the test case? My answer to that is always no.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so you basically do not want to be the test case or find yourself in that situation. But we do have good news because it have been a few cases that have come up which have...
So even with Schedule 3, weed's still illegal.
Sort of swayed the way this has been
Schedule
leaning.
3 didn't
But before we
solve
even get
nothing.
into that,
It's
a lot of you guys will be
this
familiar
problem
with this most recent situation. So let's have a look at this.
While Hunter Biden was convicted of lying about his drug use to buy a gun. While Biden acknowledged he was a user of crack cocaine, people on social say this same law could apply to people using marijuana.
Now, real quick, obviously, cannabis and crack cocaine, two completely different things, absolutely different things. So I don't want to get that twisted, but you may be able to see some similarities through how the law is applied in this situation.
But is that true? Let's verify. Our sources are the National Conference of State Legislatures, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the Gun Control Act of 1968. 38 states and D.C. allow either recreational or medical marijuana use under their laws.
Okay, 38
However,
states. I think I said 34 before. 38.
marijuana remains illegal
It
at
was
the federal level.
34, 39,
The
but the real
ATF
number's
says until
38.
that
So we got
changes,
to keep
it
track.
remains federally illegal
Got to
to
keep
mix
track.
marijuana with firearms and ammunition. The ATF warns gun buyers about this when.
But you can go ahead and get drunk though, right? You can still purchase drinks, have drinks in your house, have bottles of alcohol in your house. I know that you cannot, if you are in a situation where you do have to discharge your firearm and you are under the influence, you can really get into some serious trouble, but it's just not as restrictive when it comes to the alcohol as it is when it comes to medical marijuana.
Filling out paperwork at the time of purchase, and explains that by admitting to using marijuana,
Like I said, that's because, once again, when I'm sitting at the house, anybody that came looking for trouble came looking for it. I was sitting at the house minding my business. Whatever the fuck I'm doing, smoking weed, getting drunk, 3 or 4 chicks done came by. That was their job to stop by. They stopped by. It wasn't my fault they came. Hell, I live that type of lifestyle. But anyways, you know how it goes. I mean, hell, you'll have people coming in and throughout the house. That's why I said it only worries about what's going on in my house. Because I'm be the one in control of what's going on at my house. Hell, if I don't like somebody at my house, I'll tell them. Well, do you know where I live? No. Well, you ain't got no problem with me. You don't even know where to address me with a problem. Because where you address me with a problem is at my house. Because if you don't know where I stay, then you don't have a problem with me. Yeah. Say whatever the fuck you want in public. I'll just look at you crazy. Okay. This is exactly why I wouldn't invite you to my house. So therefore, I won't actually have a problem with you. Hell, I'll just go home. You know, that's how I always do. I just go home. Hell, I can go kick it at home. Don't want me smoking at your concert? Well, I'll go home. And next time y'all having a concert, y'all gets nothing. Nathaniel, Nathana.
you're prohibited from receiving, possessing, or purchasing a firearm. So, yes, it is illegal to own a gun if you use marijuana, even if it's legal in your state or you have a medical marijuana card. The Drug Enforcement Agency is considering reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug, but it would still be illegal, meaning marijuana users would not likely be able to buy a gun. With Your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Hey,
Well,
Sue, good
that
to
goes
see you.
to
How you
show
doing?
there's a lot of
I gotta
work
go
that
check
still
out the
needs to
blood
be done.
files.
And this video was actually posted 6 months ago. And
Every day, 'cause I
simply
got plenty of
by
content
having
for
a
you.
look at the comments on that video, you're able to see that USCCA actually did a recent video explaining that there may be some change in the law, especially how it's applied and how judges interpret it based on recent cases such as Bruin, Rahimi, and a few others that we will go on to discuss.
Federal judge in Oklahoma rules that a law that prevents marijuana users from owning a
I'm
gun
just trying
is
to glitch on me
unconstitutional.
today.
This comes after officers arrested a man and said they smelled marijuana in his vehicle and later found a gun. News on 6's Lex Rodriguez tells us why the case is confusing for some gun shops.
Gun stores like Advanced Combat in Tulsa sell guns by the thousands every year. From the moment a customer walks through the door, the staff are making an important decision, asking themselves if they are comfortable selling the customer a gun. Manager Mark Heffron says that includes the customer's behavior, speech, and even the way they smell.
You know, you can smell alcohol or you smell marijuana. I mean, you know, we've had guys come in and fumigate the whole shop. You know, just they smell. It's obvious smells, and so we just have the right to tell them no.
Heffron says the ATF provides dealers with guidelines and requires them to make these judgment calls.
I always just tell them honestly. I mean, it's the best policy is just to be straight up and tell you, hey, I just don't want to sell a gun to you today. You know, you smell like weed. Sorry.
To go a step further, Western District of Oklahoma Judge Patrick Wyrick says people who are considered a danger should not be sold a gun. Court documents show this wasn't the case when Jared.
But imagine you're in a legal state and work at not a dispensary, because you shouldn't smell like too much weed if you're at the dispensary. Maybe a little bit like some weed, maybe. Depends on, I mean, if y'all still show people the budge, yeah. But so let's say you're me and you're working at a cultivation facility. You know what I mean? You got to go pick up some more weapons because, you know, you protect your cultivation facility. You know what I mean? Can't nobody take nothing from me. The police got to announce themselves for a reason, right? Hey, it's us, the police. Don't shoot first. We're letting you know who we are before we even approach. Okay, thanks, officer. I appreciate that. You know, the guy up there shooting, he just knows to shoot. If it ain't me. That's what he gets paid for. But we'll talk about security on a different occasion. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, you smell like weed, so you can't buy a gun. Well, nah, motherfucker, I work with weed. I'm insured by weed, and I pay people with weed. Okay, in weed we trust, motherfucker.
Harrison was arrested during a traffic stop. He was on his way to work at a medical dispensary in Lawton last May. Officers say they smelled marijuana in the car, searched it, and found a gun. Wyrick says the mere use of marijuana and possession of a firearm is not a constitutionally permissible means of disarming Harrison.
That's a really important point there, guys, because this guy, he was not actually actively using, like they did not catch him blazing up a J. He may have had on his possession, but also he worked at a dispo. Now, there are a lot of people who work at medical dispensaries and even recreational dispensaries that may or may not consume. So does that in itself preclude you from owning a firearm? Really interesting point and something to pay attention to.
Dismissed the case. OK2A founder Don disarming Harrison,
this case
and
was
he dismissed the case. OK2A founder Don Spencer says this is a win for the Second Amendment, but says it never should have come to this.
No person should be disbarred their firearm or their rights until due process of the Fifth Amendment has taken place. Period. That's what makes this even more interesting and impactful from this court ruling.
Spencer says when cases like Harrison's go to court, the violation of the rights has already taken place, and it's only a win for the Second Amendment if an arrest never happens.
We don't look at it as rights going forward. We look at it as rights being restored that should have never been taken away to begin with.
Lex Rodriguez, Oklahoma Zone, News on 6.
Now that goes to show, guys, it's really a really contentious point, and it's being argued before the courts to this very day. The most recent case, I think, was literally 2024, just last year. So they're always making changes when it comes to this particular issue. But a lot of times they play a role in how future cases are decided. The courts will have to look at those cases that were decided in the past and apply those facts and apply those laws and those principles to the present case to determine whether it is distinguishable or whether it should be decided in the same way. So all that said, where are we right now when it comes to this issue?
Now that you have the chess pieces on the board, let's start moving them around. What does this all mean? Now remember that the federal law says that you cannot be an unlawful user of controlled substance, and that the reclassification of cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a 3 does not change the fact that it is in fact still a controlled substance.
Great point. So even if the rescheduling does occur, it is still a controlled substance and it will still affect your rights, especially your 2A rights. So this is something that a lot of people have issues with when it comes to the rescheduling and the proposal to reschedule it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 or Schedule 3. The truth is it needs to be descheduled, not rescheduled. It needs to be taken off completely, descheduled, not rescheduled. Let's deschedule, not reschedule. Let's go on.
What this could open up is that there now could be legal use. As with other non-Schedule 1 controlled substances, it is not illegal to use Ambien or oxycodone or whatever else, maybe ketamine, provided that you're doing so lawfully. Simply put, the fact that it is no longer going to be a Schedule 1 means that under federal law, independent of extreme research cases with special permissions, there may now be a federal legal road. Emphasis on may. Lots of details. Will this mean that you can possess a firearm in states that allow recreational use, of which there's presently, I think, about 24? Well, assuming that you follow all applicable laws and therefore you do not trigger the unlawful user wording, maybe. Check your local listing, check with attorneys in your state. This is not legal advice to folks in 50 US states, or at least the 24 that allows recreational use, and the many more that allows medical use. Why can't it be specific? Frankly, there's just simply way too much regulation and red tape to clearly see through the mud of regulation and lawsuits. But one thing is clear. This at least opens up the possibility that it can happen, subject to those details. What's my bottom line? I think there will be a legal road, provided that you are following state law, that you will then be in compliance with federal law, and you're going to be good to go. That's what I think is going to happen. But that is not legal advice. That is legal prediction. I mentioned and I teased that there is a legal trap. I've not gotten to it, but here it is. 18 U.S.C. 922 sub G.
Trap?
It shall be unlawful for any person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance. Addicted to. We've only been talking about unlawful user of. That's what everybody's been hung up on, because you cannot be a lawful user under federal law. Will the regulators, will the prosecutors, will the police, will the courts simply pivot from the unlawful user of clause to the addicted to clause? But Tom, I'm not addicted to marijuana. I'm not addicted to cannabis.
Yeah, how do you determine whether someone is addicted? Someone could just say, yo, I'm not addicted. I can stop at any time, you know? But I mean, there are clear signs with addicts. You can literally see addicts on the side of the road and stuff like that, addicted to hard drugs. But the point is, if someone is just a regular guy and they occasionally use it, does that amount to addiction? Who determines what addiction is? Who defines addiction? Interesting points to consider, guys.
I smoke once a year, once a quarter, once a month, once a week, once a whatever. But I'm fine. I pay my taxes. I'm W-2. I've got kids, maybe. Who knows? Well, the Controlled Substance Act defines an addict as this. The term addict means that any individual who habitually uses any narcotic so as to endanger the public morals, health, safety, or welfare, or who is so far addicted to the use of narcotic drugs as to have lost the power of self-control with reference to this addiction. That's a lot of open-ended language,
Yeah,
folks.
that's a lot of open-ended language. Let's take a pause and look at that closely, because is so far addicted. Let's have a look at this. The term addict means any individual who habitually uses any narcotic drug so as to endanger the public morals, health, safety, or welfare. So if I'm blazing up at home in the privacy of my home, pretty much like I am right now. Well, I'm not actually blazing up right now, but I am in my home right now. If I'm doing something at home in the privacy of my own home, does that endanger the public morals, health, safety, or welfare? Personally, I don't think so. But again,
I mean, we all know it does because, like I said earlier, if you come knocking at my door, now you dealing with me at home. Yeah, fuck around and find out, right? We did knock on Mr. Harper's door. Well, first of all, yeah, quit knocking. But hey, like he said, if I'm at home, they're supposed to be my own house rules because I pay the bills.
Who is interpreting and applying that law?
Or
let's go on.
Is so far addicted to the...
So you got to be... Oh, the second part of this test is you're so far addicted to the use of narcotic drugs as to have lost the power of self-control with reference to his addiction. So in other words, you have no self-control. The stuff is on the table. You need it now. You need to blaze up now. You just finished blazing up, but you need to blaze up again right away. You know, you lost all self-control. That is something that is pretty subjective, isn't it? Like, I can think I've not lost self-control. Someone else can think I have. Someone who does not partake in the good herb at all could say, yo, this guy, I seen him smoking 2 weeks ago. He's smoking again. That's crazy. He has no self-control. Again, that's a really subjective thing, and it's so open-ended that it can be defined and changed by anyone based on different circumstances, different situations, or how that person and that person themselves perceives the good plant. So let's go on.
Use of narcotic drugs as to have lost the power of self-control with reference to this addiction. That's a lot of open-ended language, folks. Endanger public morals, health, safety, welfare, or lost power of self-control with reference to this addiction. So public intoxication, is that endangering public morals?
Good point. Public intoxication. There are drunk people all the time walking around the streets. You see them outside clubs. You see them outside parties. You see them everywhere. But does that mean they lose their 2A rights? Typically, I don't think so. From what I've experienced, a lot of the times they don't. Interesting point.
It might not be in San Francisco, but it might be in Oklahoma City. And on top of the fact that you have different areas that feel differently about drug use, now we have the same question about how do they feel about guns. And quite often, people who take a left on guns may take a left on drugs And likewise, right on drugs, right on guns. So how are they going to feel about once we start basically connecting the two? How about the phrase that talks about what is a loss of self-control? Is monthly use per se a loss of self-control? How about weekly use?
Exactly. How much is too much? How can someone determine what's too much? What may be good for me may not be good for you. Very, very interesting things to consider.
Does the frequency of use even have any kind of bearing whatsoever on whether or not you're addicted?
Because you can use frequently or you can use infrequently. You can probably blaze up once a day. Someone may just hit up one bowl once a day. Someone may roll up a massive blunt once a day. The amount is different. The frequency and the amount, the amount literally can play a role in this too.
You can see all these questions arising.
All these questions.
Ultimately, if the law is struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court, the Daniels case or another case, at least the guardrails might be put up somehow on how we might be getting some clarity to avoid an era of, frankly, quite unequal prosecution across America under this statute. I do predict that the U.S. Supreme Court will, at a minimum, with time, allow laws that prohibit individuals from being under the influence from possessing firearms as being constitutional legal, since there is at least some history there of states doing just that. Whether the courts disallow individuals who are drug users, perhaps legal ones, but are sober from possessing firearms, that's definitely a major step, and I would say even a leap into something that we have covered in other videos in depth, and we've examined that history. If you want to see more about that, check out our...
There are a lot of variables when it comes to this, but I really want to find out what you guys think. Is this something that affects you guys? Is it something that is on you guys' mind? Is it something that you guys have any opinions on? Drop them down below and let me know. I'm always interested to find out what you guys got to say. There's also a lot of things happening down in Florida when it comes to recreational herb, and to find out more about that and how those can impact things in the future, definitely check out that video because it's coming up right now.
Back in the 60s, I smoking shit on the street. Cops didn't say nothing. Hell, it's getting high too. Everybody was doing it. It wasn't a thing to do because it was a thing to do, you know. It was a thing to do because it got you high. Can you do it?
I feel you. Nah, that's why I'm doing it. I feel it. Man, you cool as shit, mister. I hate to do it, but I gotta charge you. That's $60.
$60?
Yeah.
Man, I remember when a dime bag cost a dime. You know what I mean? You know how much condoms used to cost back in them days?
How much?
I don't know. We never used them.
Back when a dime bag cost a dime, right? Yeah, I believe this.
Hey everyone, welcome in to our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Flow Hub. I am your host, Shad Dales. Hope everyone is having a great weekend so far. Today in our latest podcast, we're going to talk about a comment that is making the rounds in Washington and why, in the context of where we are right now in U.S. cannabis reform, it actually says a lot more than what people realize. What do I mean by that? Well, President Donald Trump has been in office, as we know, for a little over a year now. And back on December 18th, 2025, he signed an executive order directing the federal government to move forward with cannabis rescheduling. So we know that matters a lot. So here's the idea that's floating around right now as we break it all down here at the latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Flow Hub. All right, here it is. This week, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York, she floated an unconventional idea. She suggested that granting President Trump a cannabis business license could further align with him with federal marijuana reform. Again, this is full-on federal marijuana reform, not rescheduling. So this wasn't framed as a formal proposal or a policy recommendation. It was thought about as an experiment. But here is the key point in a lot of this right now. This comment didn't come in a vacuum. It came after a signed executive order. It came during an active rescheduling process, and it came in a moment when the White House right now is already shaping the direction of federal cannabis policy. So do we have something here? Because that context, it changes absolutely everything. Now let's move to segment number 2, incentives, not ideology. When people hear about this idea, their first reaction is usually emotional. But step back and look at how policy actually moves, and you might learn a little bit here. Major reforms rarely happen because everyone suddenly agrees on principle. They happen because interests align. We've seen this across many industries that include energy, defense, technology, and pharmaceuticals. So when powerful decision makers have direct economic exposure to an industry, the conversation then shifts from ideology to execution. And that's the point Gillibrand is really making in all this. So as someone with real executive authority has vested interest in cannabis, one that benefits from rescheduling, banking access, interstate commerce, regulatory certainty, then we've got something here. And reform stops being an abstract. It becomes practical in all this. And no matter which way you look at it, that's not corruption. That's how incentives work. So now let's fast forward to today and the reality, and let's be clear where we are. President Donald Trump, he is the 47th president of the United States of America. He controls executive agencies. He sets the DOJ priorities. He shapes regulatory timelines, and he drives the media narrative. You don't say. And again, this all matters. He has already signed the executive order initiating cannabis rescheduling. So let's keep the momentum going, because that single action, it places the administration closer to structural cannabis reform than any previous one. Of course it does. So when people discuss Trump's relationship to cannabis now, they're not necessarily speculating when it comes to this. They're talking about active policy direction, and I like what Gillibrand came up with. It's a great idea in my opinion. Incentivize them. So now let's move to segment number 4, what a cannabis license actually represents in all this, because right now, as we know, there is still no federal cannabis license. License remains state-based, but state licenses, they're not symbolic. They represent market access, regulatory protection, revenue opportunity, long-term enterprise value. Also, licenses, they can cover cultivation, processing, retail, branding, and ancillary services. So once someone has real exposure to that system, federal reform becomes about unlocking value, reducing friction, and protecting investment. And that's when urgency definitely would increase. So really, what does this say about cannabis reform right now? The real takeaway here isn't whether this idea ever happens. No, far from it. It's why it's being discussed at this stage, because public support for cannabis reform right now has been very strong for years. That's not the issue. The issue has always been federal alignment. State by state legalization hasn't forced Congress's hand. Traditional lobbying as well, it hasn't moved fast enough, and political risk has continued to outweigh political reward. So incentive-based strategies start entering the conversation, and believe me, that's starting to happen more and more. Strong whispers going on behind the scenes. That's what we're hearing. And that is when you're going to see change and regulatory shifting towards the cannabis industry, because these are starting to enter the conversation, especially under an administration that has already initiated rescheduling. And believe me, again, once rescheduling happens, you'll see this narrative actually streamlined a lot quicker. Because cannabis reform, it's become...
Shout out to Devo and Upstate. They just went live over on Devo's Weed Chronicles. Y'all know to go check them out either now or on the replay, whichever way y'all want to do it. I'm cool with it. Suggest y'all keep up with the people we keeping up with, and make sure your notifications are set, because just like how I got the announcement that they live on Rumble, you could be getting that also.
More strategic, more pragmatic, and more focused on outcomes. So to bring this all together here today and wrap this up, this isn't about favoring one political figure. Far from it. This is about understanding how policy moves when it's finally in motion, and it is in motion. Align incentives, create economic relevance, change the cost-benefit equation. That is where cannabis reform can stand and will stand today. So what do you think? Do you like this idea? Should President Trump be given a cannabis license? Let us know by leaving your comments below and whether or not you think that would actually streamline everything a little bit quicker. How realistic is it? Again, leave your comments below. As usual, make sure you stay connected. So like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications. Stay connected with us here at TDR. That's it for now, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching.
Mr. Nice Guy was blowing up, man. We got customers from all over New York. No, not that. We even stole a few from Samson. Oh, what's up, nigga? Come on in, man. Come on, wait, man. Thanks, baby. You know, be the no he's scared. Yeah. Hey, smoke a lot. What can I get you today, smoke a lot? Lovely. Let me get a pound of your Swedish Chiba. Damn. Yes, someone told me to bring a lot of weed, man. Yeah. Pound of my Swedish Chiba. Don't get no better than that. Smell through the bag, baby. That's gonna be $9,600, bro. See what I got.
That's all we need to know, right? Now smell through the bag. Oh shit, that's that good shit.
Come on, man. Hang out for a minute and smoke with me. I got weed, got my bong out. Come on, son. For you, man. I'll stay for a minute, but then I gotta be going. Smoke a lot opened up to me like I was Barbara Walters. It was ridiculous. He told me about his lawyer. He had sex with my mama. Why? Spirituality. God, if you listen, help. His bad back. Doctor said I need a backiotomy. His love life. I'm in for this, man. Get away from me, bitch. I mean, talk about a guy with problems. Tough break. I can't take it too far. No wonder he smoked a pound a week. Somebody won. So now we had a famous clientele, and Green Eye's gonna miss you. And guess what else? Call me next week. About weed.
But guess what else was the big homie just had a video drop? Shout out to the YouTube notifications. Y'all gonna go check out the latest DJ Is video. Shout out to the big homie. Appreciate every time I see something from that guy, because you know he keep me motivated to keep myself working, because then I'll have other people working too. Hell, bro was sitting here a fan on YouTube. Now he's a YouTube creator. Appreciate that part of the game, right? Had to pull him from, hey, let's go from the audience to talking about shit we did, right? Instead of talking about other shit people that was other than us did. Hell, we'll talk about your shit if we fuck with you, but hell, we ain't fucking with you. We don't want to talk about your shit. You dig? But hell, we gonna talk about the big homie all day, because that's what we do. Oh, Green Eyes gonna miss you. Mwah.
Did you know that soaking your seeds too long can
Y'all know to go check out this guy over at the
suffocate them
Stream Show.
instead of helping them sprout? Or that one simple tweak to your soaking method can dramatically boost your germination rates? Today we're going to break down the science behind perfect germination. And I'll reveal a pro tip that guarantees better results no matter what method you use. And I'll show you how I hit a 100% success rate even with stubborn, crazy seeds. So I've been growing for years, and I've tried a few different methods for starting seeds, but even with experience, germination doesn't always go as planned. In my beginner's grow guide, I recommended the paper towel method because it's simple and it helps prevent drowning your seeds, but it does have a big downside. Your little taproot and the little hairs on it often grow into and through the paper towel. And when you try to peel them off, it's really easy to break that little tiny, delicate root. And I have tried a few other methods, but each method has its own risks. And that's why I just switched to a new way to start my seeds, and I haven't lost one since. And let me show you why. When you drop a seed into water, it doesn't instantly wake up. It goes through a whole process where the seed absorbs moisture, causing it to swell and kickstart metabolic activity. This hydration reactivates dormant enzymes, allowing the seed to break down stored starches for energy. And once enough internal processes are underway, the radicle, the first tiny root, pushes its way out, officially marking the start of germination. But this entire process depends on very precise conditions. Without enough moisture, the seed stays dormant. Without enough oxygen, metabolic activity slows down. And without the right temperature, enzyme activity can stall. It's a pretty delicate balance, and even if just one factor is off, even the best seeds can fail to sprout. And that brings us to floating seeds. So a common trick to test seed viability is the float test. Seeds that sink are said to be healthy, while floaters are often written off as duds. But there's actually a little bit more going on beneath the surface. A floating seed just hasn't absorbed enough water to trigger imbibition, meaning something is preventing moisture from getting inside. This can happen if the seed is immature, has a thick or hardened seed coat, or if it lacks the internal structures needed to germinate. And a lot of times after seeds have had a chance plants to float for 12 or 18 hours or so, you can just tap the floaters, and a lot of them will then sink, which is a sign that it has finally absorbed enough water to begin metabolic activity. But if a seed continues to float after 24 hours or so, chances are it's non-viable and won't sprout no matter what you do. And with some plants, and even with this plant, some growers will try to scarify the seeds, just lightly sand them or something, to sort of weaken or put a hole in that hard coat to help it absorb water. But with this plant, that is very rarely needed. Instead, using a method that promotes both moisture and oxygen exchange, like the one I'm about to show you, can give even really stubborn seeds the best possible chance at sprouting. So if you've ever struggled with really stubborn seeds that just won't germinate, this tip might completely change your success rate. So a cool study with a really long title called Development and Standardization of Rapid and Efficient Seed Germination Protocol for Cannabis Sativa. That's a mouthful, but this study set out to find the most effective way to boost germination while minimizing microbial contamination. And to do this, researchers tested different concentrations of hydrogen peroxide, 1%, 3%, 5%, and 10% against the control group using only sterile water. They soaked the seeds in these solutions and tracked their germination rates over time. And the results were the 1% hydrogen peroxide drastically outperformed the other concentrations, leading to faster and more successful germination. But higher concentrations actually reduced germination rates, with 10% completely preventing seeds from sprouting at all. Even compared to water alone, the 1% H2O2 resulted in nearly double the success rate. And when you look at all of them side by side, you can see how well this is really working. But why does it work so well? There's really three main reasons. And oxygen release is a huge one. As H2O2 breaks down, it releases oxygen, which is essential for cellular respiration and energy production during germination. This also helps soften your seed coat. This extra oxygen helps break down tough outer seed layers, allowing water to penetrate more easily and speed up imbibition. And there's antimicrobial protection. The H2O2 naturally kills bacteria and fungi, creating a cleaner environment that reduces the risk of contamination. But the higher concentrations were just straight up harmful. These caused oxidative stress, cellular damage, and a much lower success rate. And that's why a 1% solution is the sweet spot for maximizing your success rate without causing any harm. And if you're looking for a simple way to really increase your germination rates, this is an easy and science-backed method that you can try with peroxide you probably already have at home. And here's how you do it. If you're using the common 3% hydrogen peroxide you get from the store, the math is simple. You mix 1 part peroxide to 2 parts distilled water. You can use RO water or distilled water, but for this purpose, we're going to want some really clean water. So don't just use tap water. That also has other chemicals and stuff that we don't really want for germinating our seeds. For example, 1 cup of 3% peroxide with 2 cups of water will give you 3 cups of a 1% solution. And I've got some exciting genetics that I'm really looking forward to running in this grow, but here's the thing. I just lost some seeds. I was using peat moss cubes, and some of my seeds sprouted and then died immediately, and some of them didn't sprout at all. So I really don't want to mess all of these up too, and that's why this time, I'm doing things a little bit differently. So for this run, I'm going to be starting 4 different auto strains, and each one is going to bring something cool and unique to the table. First is the papaya cookies. I got to try this in Las Vegas when I was visiting MJ BizCon. This tastes so good. It's so sweet and so fruity. We're going again. The pictures of this plant look amazing. I'm excited for this one. Next, we have the Gorilla Cookies. This one should be a very fun one because this is supposed to be one of the most potent and highest yielding autos you can get. I also have the Double Grape. This is some of the seeds I lost, but again, this plant just looks amazing, and it's supposed to have really sweet, fruity grape terps. I'm really looking forward to this. And this last one is the Forum Stomper Sour Cross. This one is supposed to stink like rotten meat, and it looks beautiful. And since this was a freebie, it seems to be sort of rare. I haven't seen a lot.
I mean, he said it's supposed to stink like rotten meat. Ugh, that just sounds good. And see, that only sounds good when you're talking about weed, because then you're like, yes, pungent makes it the more better, especially if it's a flagrant type of pungent, something that you like, yeah. It's not a bad, it's that Mac Drake this face,
A lot of people growing this out, so I'm excited for this. And I'm excited for those really nasty, stinky turds. Like rotten meat, ugh, gross, tight, sick. And it was hard to decide because I just got 4 brand new strains that I'm really excited to grow also, but these are next. But I got all of these from Seedsman, and you can too. Seedsman has hooked it up so we can all save 10% on all our orders from our favorite breeders with the discount code StrainShow. And if you want recommendations on what might be best for you and your grow, make sure to check out strainshow.com/grow for some tips and recommendations. And luckily, I just found a really cool new way to start all of these seeds that completely removes all of the guesswork. And it makes sure that every single one of these seeds has the best possible chance at success. So when I was at MJ BizCon, I was chilling at a house party one night, just smoking and talking with other growers when I met Don, the guy who actually invented this thing called the canna. He started explaining how he designed it to eliminate common germination problems by balancing water, oxygen, and warmth in a way that no other method does. And when he was explaining it to me, it made so much sense.
And y'all already know we first was introduced to Don from Canna through our homies over at Higher Desert Exotics. Shout out to the big homie Creative and the big homie Corey. Hey, we gonna need them to come back with something new one of these days. But hell, in the meantime, we appreciate their support because they still level 2 Buy Me a Coffee members. Which is why we still giving them their promotions because we appreciate that part of the game, right? Shout out to the homies. They introduced us to Canna, which it's. If I didn't already have like 6 different pre-videos of me going through and learning germination, I'd go through and do a canna run just on germination. But I pretty much have employed the same tactics of their device into my starting on my side. So I appreciate the confirmations of what I've already studied myself. But yeah, I do support their product because for other people, what I do would be crazy to them. So yeah, go ahead and just grab the simple system that's proven to work. Throw a little hydrogen peroxide in there, and that's the new cheat code. Hydrogen peroxide, the seed germination can from that company that he just said. Hey, go back and watch it on Higher Desert Exotic, or I'm pretty sure he's going to give you another rundown because he was talking with the guy from the company himself in person. Shouts out to that part of the game.
That I had to give it a shot. So here it is right here, the canna. This is just a little self-regulating seed starting system, and it controls moisture, oxygen flow, and temperature. And unlike rock wool or paper towels or peat cubes, this thing makes sure that your seeds never get too dry and they never get too wet. So at its core, it's just a sealed container with a floating seed strainer system inside. And besides the little can, there's also a small heating pad, and this heating pad is going to be very important. The water level is precisely controlled, and the design allows moisture-rich air to circulate in this container, and it keeps your seeds really hydrated without having to submerge them. This helps prevent drowning and stagnant water pockets while keeping the perfect warmth and humidity, which are 2 things that are critical for getting your seeds to sprout fast and healthy. And this is how it works. So you place your seeds into the partition floating strainer. There's a dry erase partition chart so you can keep track of every strain and the day you started it. You fill the outer container with distilled water up to the max fill line. It's about 150 mils. And you can add the hydrogen peroxide for that extra boost, but I skipped that for this test. Then you just stick your partition tray in the main container. The water will slowly come through the filter in the bottom of the tray. Then you just close the lid and set it on your heating pad set to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And 95 degrees Fahrenheit is too hot for your seeds, but when your heating mat is at 95, your seeds are going to be at around 85, which is about to lead to some really fast growth. And after 18 hours, you open the lid and check on your seeds. You can see the condensation on the lid to let you know it's working. If any of your seeds are still floating, you can gently tap them and see if they sink. And after 18 to 24 hours, all of your seeds should have sank or maybe even already begin to crack open. At this point, you drain your container down to the minimum fill line. So now you're only going to have water in the very bottom of your canna, and the seeds are going to be on that tray above the water. But the heating pad is going to cause that moisture and heat to come from the water up through your paper filter and circulate over and over in this can, just making like a perfect little environment for these seeds to thrive. As the water evaporates from the lower reservoir, warm, humid air rises, keeping the seeds in a constant cycle of moisture and oxygen exchange. And this mimics how seeds would naturally experience fluctuations in humidity underground, just in a much more controlled way. And the result is a perfect balance of water, oxygen, and warmth, all without any extra effort or guesswork. And this is not a sponsorship, and nobody asked me to mention this thing in my video. I just really like it a lot, and I know that it's going to help you get great results. You can find lots of videos of people having great success with this.
And see, that's the part of the game we appreciate. He said, I ain't trying to sell it to you, but hey, if you want the results, we'll definitely give you a good recommendation. Shout out to the good recommendations, because that's where the grow community comes in as a clutch tool. You see what I'm saying? It ain't what you know, it's who knows what's actually good for you. Hey, if I can tell you something that's good for you, I sure will. If I can tell you something that's bad for you, hey, I might have to. Hey, if I can tell you how to get them both, or just to get the results done, you know, you can do both, but you got to, you know, expect the results that you're going to be expected. Expected, respected.
Right now on YouTube, and Don is just a really cool guy who is basically a one-man business who just really wants to help home growers. So if that sounds cool to you, you can check it out at cannacan.com or check the link in the description, but let's check out my results. So I checked my seeds after 18 hours and only one had sank. But after a little tap, the rest went underwater immediately. So I drained my water to the low line and put it back on the heat pad. I checked in 24 hours and every single seed had popped. And not just barely cracking open, but with strong, healthy taproots ready for transplant. And that alone had me sold, but what really made me appreciate this system even more was how easy it was to move these tiny little seedlings, because now they're tiny and they're growing, but now we have to move them. And I hate this part because, like I was saying earlier with the paper towel method, it can be so hard to break or damage them right now. And if you break them or damage them right now, you're done. They're dead. But since the roots don't grow into anything like they do in the paper towel method, I could just use the little huggers, tweezers, which cup the seeds and like gently pick them up. And they're designed to like where they won't snap your taproot off. So I can just gently pick them up and place them directly into my rooting cubes without worrying about ripping off the delicate root hairs. It took all the stress out of handling these fresh seedlings. And those results were already impressive, but I wanted to really push this thing to the limit, and so I tried something that I honestly didn't even know if it was going to work at all. So I filled this thing with over 100 seeds from a plant that hermied due to stress. I had accidentally left my UV and infrared lights on during the dark cycle multiple times, which is not what you want to do. That kind of stress can force a plant to make seeds, and they're usually like tiny.
I like how he said that's not what you want to do. Damn, Matt, what happened to the auto timers? He's like, nah, auto timers for when you ain't locked in, and he wasn't locked in. See, that's when he was supposed to use his auto timers, because he was on some. Well, damn, I know Susan's supposed to be calling me when I get off work, but hell, her ass didn't get off the phone until 11:30 at night, and I got off at 3. Yeah, that's a whole 8-hour shift on the phone.
Or just like straight up duds. But I figured if the canna can get these things to pop, then it can probably germinate anything. So I did the same steps as before, soaked the seeds for 18 hours, drained the water, came back in 24 hours, and somehow it worked. Every single mature seed I placed in the canna can opened. Even the weird twisted ones that I just knew weren't going to make it. And they weren't just barely open. The inside of this thing was just full of taproots. The canna can is fire, homie. But getting your seeds to pop is just the first step, and if you don't handle your seedlings right, they can still end up weak, stretched out, and struggling to survive. I've seen this happen too many times, and trust me, it's very frustrating. Even the best genetics can be ruined if you don't know how to prevent this. So don't let all that hard work go to waste, and watch this video so you can make sure you grow seedlings that are strong, sturdy, and ready to thrive. If you want to avoid this, make sure you watch this video. I'll see you there. Peace.
And of course, we know, well, I know what I already said. For the new people, y'all gonna have to watch a lot of old videos, and not the short videos, the long videos.
What's going to get down on Mr. Nice Guy?
Because if you watch the long videos, you ain't got to watch the short videos. That's a little cheat code right there. But if you don't feel like you want to watch a full hour to 2 hour live, yeah, that's why we have the highlights of things that I think were important from then, because that's why I made them highlights. But yeah, that's like I'm saying. I've been said how I handle mine. I wait till they are a little leggy in the germination phase, meaning I done left them in there for a week. Forget checking on them after 18 hours. I check on them every 2 days to make sure they're wet so they can grow. So by the time I feel like putting them in their final pot, they might be a little leggy. Because now when I put them in their final pot, they actually don't take off because they've been getting leggy because they're short on light. Then I give them abundant light. Yeah, that's what leggy means. It's like, hey, I'm not feeling the light enough. Or it was growing too fast and it ain't got enough structure, which goes back to knowing what silicone does, and it gives you that stocky stock that you want. You know what I mean? Stocky McStockington ass. Shouts out to y'all.
We met all kinds of customers, like this guy here. He's what we call an enhancement smoker, because he thinks that marijuana makes every activity that much better.
Casa su casa.
Observe.
You're Scarface, right? Yeah. I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
You ever seen Son of a Woman? Oh, we.
What up, Six Bows? Good to see you. How you
That's the way
doing?
to see it, man. It's just wow.
Of course, the big homie came through.
60
Looked like
bucks,
it was
yo.
when I was talking about him too. Appreciate that part of the game. So we always talk about good about the people we know because they will pull up.
Back of a $20 bill, man.
No, I don't know, yo.
Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill? On weed? Oh, there's some weird shit in there, man. There's a dude sitting in the bushes, man. Does he have a gun? I don't know, man. I don't know. What? Red team go. Red team go. It's just some weird shit, man.
Man, fucking crazy, yo.
Oh, it's cool. Thanks, man. Hey, yo, wait. Dude, I'm gonna check out the stars later. It's really trippy. Especially on weed, man.
You too was good with it, man. And it's your boy Neo, and I'm back with another video. So today in this video, we're gonna jump into the topic of in 2026, should you trap depths or exotics? Which one would be better for your market to get more custos and of course to make more profit? We're gonna dive into that topic, but before we hop into this,
Go
I
check
need
out Six Bows
everybody
is
to go
back.
show
Appreciate
some
you stopping by and
love
saying
to
hi.
my guys at Smoothie Bar, man. Smoothie Bar. So they just dropped a new device, the Blend 3.0, with, this very cool, innovative dual flavor technology. Extremely high quality oils using only the best product. Also, they probably have the biggest LED screen where you can toggle a bunch of different features that range from like the temperature of the device and hidden blinkers. You can either blend the two flavors or you could choose one or the other flavor to take a hit from. So, very innovative new device that they just launched. I think it's going to take over the game, man. Again, show my guys at Smoothie Bar some love. They just dropped this new device. You can go follow them on their Instagram. I'll have that below in the description. Tell them that Neo sent you. So let's break this down. Depths or exotics? Which one will make you more money, man? Because that's really all we care about, bro. A lot of people will have differing opinions on it. There is no right or wrong answer because it all depends on what your market demands and what your specific customer demands. If you've been able to curate a customer base who wants top quality product, then of course you have to grab them exotic bags that are 1,500, 2 bands, 2,500, because they're not going to accept anything less. And that's what they expect from you. And if you have a customer base who really doesn't care about, not to say quality, because there is some dips that are fucking smoking, just because it may not look the best, because again, everything in the space now in 2026 is all appearance based. So
if something doesn't look the part, people are going to automatically assume that means it's bad quality when that's not always the case. I've said this time and time again, man, nothing beats that light bulb up in the air that God created, man. I don't care what nobody says, bro. That's just the reality of the fact.
Still
And a lot
alive,
of
little
people
ugly.
don't want to accept that. But that's a whole nother tangent. If your customer base is full of cheap people who want high quality product, which that's an anomaly that will never happen, because if something is high quality, if something is top tier, you're gonna have to pay. It costs for exotic. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's what a lot of people can't get through their head. They talk about these $10 ace and $15 ace, saying this shit is exotic just because it's purple and it got a fucking decent nose and a tight bud structure. That doesn't mean that it's exotic, bro. So again, it just goes based off of what your market demands, and not only just your market, but your specific customer base. If you're more new, if you haven't really built up a customer base, then you're going to have to go with the market, because the market is typically what your customer base, if you're just starting out, will consist of. If you've already built a customer base, then you can lean towards what your customer base wants, and you don't have to really focus on the market, because you have people that fuck with you because of either your consistency, your customer service, the quality, the experience, etc. Two things can be right at the same time. It's not always like, hey, depths are the best way to make money in 2026, or exotics are the best way to make money. Both could make you a lot of money. It just depends on other factors that you have control over in order for you to fully maximize on what product you're grabbing. If you got a customer base who thinks that exotic is a $15 eighth, man, go get them depths, bro. Go get them fakers. Go get that shit that looks like it's indoor, but you don't really have to pay the indoor ticket. You don't really have to pay the exotic ticket. And that all goes back to having the right plug. See, a lot of folks in 2026, your biggest problem is you don't have the right plug. You can't source bags at the consistency and the rate and with good enough logistics to keep supplying your customers week in and week out, so that they don't have to go shop nowhere else. They can always count on you. And if you got the right plug, they're going to have the variety. They're going to have them low bags. They're going to have them depths, them light assists, them indoors, them wrapper exotic packs, bro. So you're going to be able to go somewhere that's a one-stop shop and get everything that you need. And you always know that they'll have what you're looking for and what your customer base or market demands. A lot of your guys' problems is solved at the source. It's solved at the root, because the root is where everything grows from. That's where everything builds. So if your source, which is your plug, if your source is not right, if it's fucked up, then everything else that you're building from that source is going to be fucked up as well. It's a chain reaction, bro. That's just how it works. So that's what I mean when a lot of y'all just don't have a good plug. Triple B, but you're in luck, man. If you're looking for a community, if you're looking for a space, where you can learn more about the industry, you can fuck with verified plugs. That's not gonna finesse you. That's not gonna scam you. That's not gonna do the switcheroo on you. That's gonna get you right and keep feeding you and grow with you in order for you to scale correctly. Then I need you to join members only. That's my free community. The link is down below in the description, man. I hope to see you on the other side. But when we're talking about the exotic bags, because we talked a lot about the depths, if you got a customer base that does not care about the price, if they only care about quality, you gotta grab those exotics, bro. That's what your customer base wants. And usually to get a customer base like that, it's extremely difficult because it's a smaller portion of the market. Most people want mids. Most people want cheap, affordable product. That's just how it's always going to be. 80 to 90% of the market is mids. The other 10% is connoisseurs who want the best quality for their lungs. They don't care what they have to pay for it. So if you've been able to cultivate a customer base like that, or if you want to cultivate a customer base like that, then grab those exotics. I would say that it's going to be harder to build a customer base like that because naturally a lot of people are going to be turned off from the price, you know, when you initially tell them, hey, this is what it costs. But the ones that value quality are always.
That's why people liked or disliked me back when I was, you know, the old weed man. Let's say back in 2008, you know, before I went to prison. And I didn't go to prison for selling drugs. I went to prison for other stuff. But anyways, back when I was a weed man back then, that's exactly what I did. I knew my customers. Okay, you like to buy a zip a week, or you like to buy a quarter a week, or you like to buy whatever the fuck you buy. It only take you shopping with me twice to see what you're buying. Then I'm gonna see and evaluate that from my end. Okay, are you only buying this because it's cheap, or are you buying this because you like the product? You see what I'm saying? Because I mean, if you only buying a sieve, you're like, well, I just need enough to go because I don't smoke that much. Cool. But if you smoking a sieve every couple of days and you calling me every couple of days, I'm gonna get you to convert to that zip by the end of a week because I'm not gonna do all of that cherry picking, as I like to call it. I'm not gonna come serve you daily when I figure out your schedule because that's the only thing I would have to do. Okay, you get paid on what day and you smoke X amount of weed. So on this day, I'm not gonna let you bullshit me out of you buying another sev and then you call me back in the day. Nah, I'm gonna make you go ahead and get the zip at the price for the zip so I don't have to worry about it because then out of my re-up, I already know this zip's going for X amount to such and such. It's called you knowing your custos and you being on your shit, right? Yeah, a lot of people ain't on their shit though, so that's why he's reminding people. If you being on your shit ain't up to par, yeah, you better start working on it. It's called self-improvement. You know what you're doing or you know what you want to do. So therefore, if you know what you want to do it at the best you should be able to do it at. And if that don't add up, come to the house. I'll kick you off in your ass a couple times, and then you might get the drift. Yeah, you know, it might take a couple times, but we'll get them on point some point in time, right, Scully? Shit, somebody got to tell him.
It's going to stick with you if you're able to have a level of consistency and QC on everything that you grab. Because I would say connoisseurs are extremely more loyal than people who are on a budget always looking for deals. And the folks that you would serve depths to, that would be that type of customer. The folks that are not that loyal, yes, you'll probably get more custos like that because there's naturally more people in the market that is looking for that type of product because most people are on a budget and they just want to get high. They don't really care about, you know, the quality. As long as it does the job, that's good enough for them. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to avoid that type of customer who's not as loyal, that's always looking around for the best deals and the most affordable product, I would say you need to start branding yourself as the quality person. And again, quality is not $1,000 bags, bro. That's not top tier quality. If you want to be the exotic man, all your bags are going to cost 15 and up, bro. 2 bands and up. And if you breaking it down, or even if you move in bulk, bro, your volume is going to be much less than somebody that's moving lows and depths and faker packs. Those, I would say, are definitely the money makers when you're talking about volume. When you're talking about if I'm able to get a box in and move a box out, yeah, you're going to be able to move a lot more of that type of work. But for the exotics, I would say your profit margins are going to be a lot better than the people that move lows and depths and fakers. And your customer loyalty, if you're always able to keep a high level of consistency and QC, your customer loyalty is going to be extremely higher than those folks that's moving the lows and the depths and the faker packs because their customers are always just looking for the best deal. They really don't care about anything else other than the price, which in my opinion is a losing game. So, you know, to summarize it all up, I would say the longer term option, if you're trying to last in this space, is to lean towards the exotic bows, bro, because you're going to have a more loyal customer who doesn't care about the price as long as the consistency and the quality matches whatever the cost is, and they'll continue to grow with you as you scale up. However, yes, in the short term, I think you can make a lot of money off the depths and the lows and the faker packs, but that customer is always going to be less loyal, and they're constantly looking for better deals all the time. So they're going to be quick to leave and go somewhere else if you can't match or beat current market pricing of your competition. So that's kind of the pros and cons of each. If you don't really care about the long term and you're just trying to run up a bag, I would say go with the dips. If you're in this for the long haul and you're trying to build, a brand or a name in the space, go with the exotic bags, because that's where the customer loyalty and the LTV, the lifetime value of a customer, is going to be the highest. People who move the depths and the lows and the faker packs, they're usually not able to keep a customer as long, because it's always a losing game when you're trying to beat pricing. Because if you're trying to compete with pricing, you're competing with the biggest players in the space, the Armenians, the Chinamen, the Chaldeans, them white boys in Oregon. That shit is extremely difficult to compete if that's your motto. Like, I got the best price, I got the best ticket for the best quality.
I mean, because when you find a guy that's actually sending you these pounds, but that was only $150 a pound, they might be some outdoor grows. You never know what it is. Outdoor quality can beat indoor quality sometimes, because it's outdoor and it might be fucking all natural. But they say you can taste the difference. So then that would be the difference. It looks like some brown weed because it was grown outdoors, but it's smoked better than anything you've ever tasted. And it's got the flavors. It just looked like Bobby. Shouts out to the Browns.
Quality work, bro. The Chaldeans, the Asians, the white boys in Oregon, the Armenians, they got that portion of the game on lock, bro. So again, two things can be true. You can make a lot of money in both spaces, but I think maybe what would be best is to take dynamics from each and meet somewhere in the middle where, yes, you still got bags that are quality, but maybe they're not as expensive as the exotics. However, it's way better than the quality and the look and the smoke of the depths. That would be where I would try to position myself in if I were in the space. Try to be somewhere in the middle so that you can grasp the best of both worlds. So again, man, if y'all are looking for a community to network, learn, troubleshoot issues, lock in with verified plugs that's going to get you right and be able to get you them good depths, them good exotic bows, whatever you need, them faker bows, make sure that you join members only. The link's going to be in the description, man. Let me know what you think in the comments is the best way to navigate in this space in 2026. Is it the depths or the exotic bows? And if you fuck with this video, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new. And until next time, peace. I'm out, man.
Hi, this is Eddie with Mindful Emergence with another video for seniors or anyone who might feel they could benefit from this content. There are a lot of different reasons to use cannabis. It might be for pain management, for sleep, for anxiety relief, for just relaxation. And then sometimes we may want to use it during the day. And depending on what the reason is and when we're going to use it, can determine how we choose the particular cannabis that we're using. Now, I want to make the point that we're all biochemically unique. So what I'm talking about is general trends, general recommendations. Whether or not we're talking about cannabinoids or terpenes or THC levels, what affects you in a certain way may affect me very differently, and of course, vice versa. But let's talk about using cannabis during the day. I don't know about you, but if I decide I want to hit it earlier, I'm not interested in getting blasted. I don't want that stony kind of feeling. I want more of an uplifting, energizing experience. And so I'm going to recommend some particular terpenes and some particular strains that you might find very helpful. Now, if you've watched very many videos of mine at all, you know that I talk a lot about terpenes, because if we want to use this cannabis plant intentionally, it's very helpful to understand terpenes, these aromatic compounds within the plant, within all plants, that can affect the experience. And there's a general trend that there are certain terpenes that tend to be more energizing. And they tend to be associated with what is referred to as sativa strains. So it's important to remember, though, that if you walk into a dispensary and they say, what do you want, indica or sativa? And you say sativa, and they point to something on the board, it may not have the effect you're looking for if you want uplifting effect, because many of the so-called sativas have terpenes that can have more of a sedating effect, like especially myrcene, which shows up all over the place. And if it's in a strain, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be sedating, but that tendency tends to happen. The other terpene you want to avoid if you're looking for something energizing is linalool. Not as common, but it does show up. So here are the terpenes that tend to be more energizing. The first one is limonene, which is probably the second most common terpene you will see there after myrcene. Limonene is very good, or limonene. I've heard it pronounced different ways. Another one, and this is my favorite terpene, is terpinolene. Love terpinolene. There's something about that for me that just hits the sweet spot. So we've got limonene, terpinolene. Pinene is another one that's very good. So those three you want to look for. Now, you may also find caryophyllene, which also has kind of an uplifting effect without being sedative. And the added benefit of caryophyllene is it does have a tendency to have anti-inflammatory benefits. All right. So terpinolene, limonene, and pinene. Where can we find these? So I'm going to give you 7 strains that I've used that I have found to be terrific. All right. The first one, and this is my favorite, is Durban poison. The dominant terpene is terpinolene, and there's something about Durban poison for me that just rocks the house. Man, I love this stuff. And I just smoke a little bit of it. It just gives me that little lift and a clarity that's just really, really nice. So Durban poison. Another one of my favorites is Jack Herer. H-E-R-E-R. Now, I've heard that pronounced different ways, and it's named after, I think he was called the Emperor of Hemp. He was this seminal figure in the world of cannabis trying to get it legalized, and he has passed on. But Jack Herer is a great energizing, uplifting strain. By the way, I put all this information in the description, so if you're frantically looking for a piece of paper to write something down, don't worry about it. Just look in the description. So we've got Durban poison, Jack Herer. Another one that I really like is green crack. Don't like the name, but I love the strain. Now, that does have myrcene in it. It's not the dominant terpene, but I find green crack to be really, really nice. Another one I like is sour diesel. All right.
Telling people also, I like to smoke green crack.
High in limonene. So anything that's sour or lemony in the name is probably going to have limonene in it, and it's probably going to tend to be energizing. So sour diesel. And on that point, we have Super Lemon Haze. Now, I've only gotten my hands on Super Lemon Haze once, but when I got it and I smoked it, I was like, yeah, I like this stuff. And by the way, we're talking flower here, all right? It's hard enough to get the terpene profiles in flower. It's almost impossible to get it, in most cases, on any edible, whether or not we're talking about gummies or tinctures. Well, that's not so much an edible, but or the drinks, okay? I've never seen terpene profile in any of those drinks, All right. But yeah, I really, really like that one. So let me look at my notes here. Super Lemon Haze. Another one that I just got my hands on is Colombian Gold. Now, you may not be able to get this. It's a landrace strain, and frankly, I did not get it at a dispensary locally. It was given to me by someone who grew it. It's not THCA, which is what I access here in North Carolina because it's legal. But Colombian Gold, oh, man, if you can get your hands on that, definitely go for it. And the last one is Blue Dream. Now, I have to confess, I don't ever remember coming across Blue Dream. I've seen it in the stores. I just never picked it up. But I've heard that's really, really nice. So if you have strains that you find are really high in these particular terpenes or really energizing, please put that information in the comments. Share it with others. Share it with me so we can learn together. Now, I want to make another point, and that's about THC levels. I recommend that you keep the THC levels on the low to moderate side. That Colombian Gold that I told you about that's just awesome, it's 20%. You don't want 30, 35% THC levels if you're smoking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because you're probably going to get too high. And then that's not necessarily probably where you want to go. We're looking for something as energizing and smooth. 18%, 20%, certainly under 25% is what I would recommend. So those are some general recommendations. It's based primarily on my own experience, which may be different from your experience. You might get some Jack Herrera, smoke it, half hour later you're falling asleep, So that's just kind of how these things work, right? It's not a perfect science. So anyway, again, love your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.
So I can't wait to be out of this Day of the Dead, man. I'll be sitting there on Saturday morning. Next thing you know, I'll be watching my video back and find out I was asleep. Did I fall asleep for a minute? Yeah, I might have dozed off. Hell.
Oh, you don't mind. We
It
made some
happens.
tea. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the bloke you're stealing from. The name's Alistair Rigby, but as far as you're concerned, I'm Willy fucking Wonka, and you're taking a shit in my fucking chocolate factory. Easy, boss. Don't get upset. When I have to go to the dentist, I'm upset. When Liverpool beats Arsenal, I'm upset. But when some little shit decides to take over one of the most profitable territories in the country, I'm beyond fucking upset. I'm very fucking upset. So, from now on, you're under new management. You will work for me. And in return, you'll receive an allowance.
Allowance?
Yes, allowance. As in, I'm allowing you to keep 10%, and I'm allowing you to keep drawing breath on this earth. Now, you either get down or you lay down. What's it gonna be, sunshine?
This wasn't no movie. The smart thing was to say yes, get up, and leave the room. But then I thought to myself, what if this was a movie? Look, fuck you, fuck the plane you flew in on, fuck them shoes, fuck those socks with the bell on it, fuck your gay-ass fairy faggot accent, fuck them cheap-ass cigars, fuck your yuck-mouth teeth, fuck your hairpiece, fuck your chocolate, fuck Guy Ritchie, fuck Prince William, fuck the Queen. This is America. My president is black and my Lambo is blue, nigga. Now get the fuck out of my hotel room. And if I see you in the street, I'm slapping the shit out of you.
I think this one spent so much time in the cinema. Teach this cheeky bastard a lesson.
Somebody fucking move!
Oh, man, this is bad.
What is this? A casting call for the Sopranos reunion? Do me a favour. Tell room service nobody here ordered the extra large whop with a side order of whops.
Whoa!
That's how the negotiations go sometimes too. Hey, you gotta know how to navigate them.
Hey everyone, welcome into our latest TDR Trade to Black
weekly recap presented by FlowHub. I am your host, Shad Dales. In addition to FlowHub, check out their cool, refreshing bong water. If you haven't had this, make sure to check it out online. It's a cool, refreshing taste that always goes down easy. All right. Let's get into our weekly recap this week because a lot was going on in Canada right now. They stole the stage this week. A lot of news going on up north in Canada this week. So what was it? Well, from retail execution to cultivation discipline to capital markets activity, Canada
So now
again delivered some
Water
eye-opening
gonna owe me
developments
some
that are worth paying
sponsorships. I'm gonna have
attention
to hit
to.
them
So let's
up.
get into what I'm talking about. And we're going to first begin with earnings and none other than High Tide, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol HITI. They just closed the books on fiscal 2025. And the headline, pretty straightforward. Scale is now translating into sustained operating leverage. Yes, it was indeed. The company reported record Q4 revenue of $164 million, up 19% year over year and 10% sequentially. Its fastest quarterly growth in years. That puts High Tide on a revenue run rate north of $650 million, a number that would have sounded ambitious not that long ago for the Canadian retail company. But revenue isn't the only story on its own right now. Let's look a little bit further. As High Tide, they continue to do something rare in cannabis. What is it? They're growing while generating real cash, which is an eye-opener. The company delivered $12 million in free cash flow for the full fiscal year, hitting its state goal of staying FCF positive, even while opening 27 new stores and expanding internationally. Q4 FCF, otherwise known as free cash flow, came in lighter at $1.3 million, largely due to working capital investments and the Remexian acquisition over in Germany, but it stayed positive, and that indeed matters. Also, retail engine, loyalty plus density equals margin expansion. Canna Cabana, it remains the core economic driver. High Tide ended the year with 218 stores, firmly cementing its position as Canada's largest cannabis retailer. The real differentiator in all this continues to be the Cabana Club and the elite loyalty ecosystem. It's now sitting at, get this, 2.5 million plus Canadian members, 151,000 elite members, and 6.56 million global members. So that data-driven model is translating directly into performance. Same-store sales, they were also up 5.5% year over year in Q4, and retail EBITDA margins hit a record 9.4%, with management targeting 12% over the long term. Annualized retail sales per square foot came in at $1,775, competitive with top-tier global retailers, not just cannabis peers. Did you hear that? Yeah. On the profitability side, gross profit $42.5 million, up 19%. Adjusted EBITDA $12.4, that was up 51%. It marked the 22nd consecutive positive quarter, and gross margin 26%, steady year over year. The reported net loss was largely non-cash accounting noise. On an adjusted basis, Q4 would have shown positive net income. So that's worth pointing out as well. Let's now shift to their international strategy, where High Tide's majority acquisition of Remexian Pharma marked its entry into Germany's medical cannabis market. Early performance was definitely impacted by legacy supply chain issues in Portugal, but management is now saying those disruptions are definitely easing, with December tonnage already rebounding. Germany also gives High Tide exposure to a pharma-style disruption model, very different from the Canadian retail. It introduces international optionality that most Canadian retailer supply chains just don't have. So all in all, a great earnings report, and most importantly, we will have Raj Grover on this Wednesday, 4 o'clock, for an in-depth interview to recap their latest earnings print. Great job again by Raj Grover and team. All right, let's now move to yet another Canadian company who also reported earnings, and that is a company called Canna Biotech, who just delivered, get this, one of the cleanest quarters you're ever going to see in the sector. For Q1 fiscal 2026, the Quebec-based cultivator reported gross cannabis revenue of $41.8 million, up 20% year over year, with net revenue of $30.1 million. But the real story here actually is the margin expansion. Gross profit before fair value adjustments jumped 38% to $13.5 million, pushing gross margins to 45%, up 39% from a year ago. Nice job. In addition to that, adjusted EBITDA, it rose 47% to $8.8 million, and operating cash flow came in at $8 million. So the growth, it's being funded internally, not through dilution or financial gymnastics. That is key. So Canna right now, they reached its highest national market share ever at 4.1%. driven by improved supply consistency and a well-timed entry into Quebec's vape category. And critically, Canna is not chasing volume at any cost. Valleyfield is running at about half of its eventual capacity, and this is by design. Management is scaling production only when downstream processing can monetize it efficiently. There's some well-run companies going on in Quebec right now. Quality over quantity. And believe it or not, that seems to be the competitive advantage. All right, let's now switch gears to Cardiol Therapeutics, who completed a $14.85 million private placement, including full exercise of the over allotment. The company issued 11.4 million units at $1.30 each, with a half warrant exercisable at $1.75 over 24 months. This is a runway extension financing, not a balance sheet rescue. Proceeds will support late-stage cardiovascular clinical programs and working capital. So you look at this for shareholders, the story still remains clinical execution, and this financing it definitely buys time to reach value-creating data milestones, which they have been working on for years and have had some good breakthrough as well. Let's now move south, and on the U.S. side, where Trulieve fully executed its $200 million raise through a 10.5% senior secured notes due 2030. So that's not distressed pricing in U.S. cannabis, that's upper tier operating pricing. So more important than the coupon is the structure. Senior secured, 5-year duration, and done in full. It tells you lenders see Trulieve as an asset-backed, cash flow capable, and also very durable. So this isn't rescue financing, not in the least bit. It's strategic balance sheet positioning ahead of potential regulatory shifts. Something we also saw with Cresco Labs, who announced that $100 million on Friday as well. More and more, the bigger companies getting prepared on what's about to come. Let's move west now, where Glasshouse Brands added Allison Payne, CMO of Heineken USA, to its board. This is rather interesting. This isn't a routine appointment, as we know. It signals where cannabis is definitely heading, away from survival mode and towards brand-driven competition and regulated consumer markets. As cannabis moves closer to mainstream footing, experience in alcohol, beverages, and CPG, guess what, everyone? It matters. So this is a quiet but meaningful signal about industry evolution. And I'll have another story in just a little bit that further defines that. Let's move back up north, where another Canadian company delivered a major operational reset in fiscal 2025, and that is Nextleaf Solutions, where net losses shrank nearly 90%, EBITDA turned positive, and operating cash flow flipped into the black. Gross margins expanded by 25%, driven by a shift towards higher margin CPG formats. So this is margin first execution. It's not hype. And in today's market, guess what, everyone? That indeed matters. So going back to my story about that evolution, well, a cultural milestone happened this week. Chicago's United Center is now selling hemp-derived THC beverages at concerts and venues. So this isn't a novelty. It's an institutional acceptance. So when you have Legacy Arena integrating THC beverages alongside beer, the category is definitely moving from emerging to normalized. So for cannabis beverages, this is yet another proof of concept moment that we are definitely shaking the stigma from the past. And finally, on the reform
maybe
front,
just CBD,
the big news that everyone found out this week, former Congressman
there.
Matt Gaetz, he sparked excitement by claiming the DEA is drafting a final rule to move cannabis to Schedule 3 ASAP. So that's notable, but it's not confirmation. So don't know how to read this just yet. As we know, the DEA's history suggests caution, not speed. So drafting doesn't equal finalization, and until something is officially issued and published, this remains progress chatter, not closure. Remember that, everyone. Progress, not closure. I know it's hard to not get excited when you hear something like that, especially from a former congressman, and was actually President Trump's first attorney general pick. So yeah, there's some substance there. So to wrap things up this week, we saw something important. What was that? Well, execution. It's the most important thing right now for the industry. And as you can see, Canadian companies like High Tide, Canara Biotech, and Nextleaf Solutions are defining that. Also, capital is flowing selectively to quality in all this. And while reform chatter continues, the companies are doing the hard operational work today. And those are the ones that ultimately are going to position themselves for tomorrow. That's the reality, everyone. That's where we are here in 2026. So that's it, everyone, for our latest TDR Trade to Black weekly recap presented by FlowHub, the retail platform behind the best dispensaries in America. Again, FlowHub powers some of the largest and most sophisticated operators in cannabis. So if you're serious about scaling retail the right way, visit flowhub.com and request a demo today. One more thing, too. What stood out to you this week? Leave your comments below. Love to keep this conversation going to get some engagement. And what was the highlight
make for you this week? I'm sure that tweet definitely got your attention. How realistic is it? Could we see some news perhaps progress in the next week or two? We hope so, but I'm not holding my breath. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications and stay connected with us here at TDR. All right, I need to hydrate myself once again with this cool bong water. Again, a cool, refreshing taste that always goes down easy. That's it, everyone. See you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and thanks again for watching.
It's not hard to get them sponsorships, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into their affiliate program because I'll start selling them too, right? Those are gonna be the new commercials. I need to keep up with them, right? And maybe, I'll get in that affiliate program because we're gonna watch them anyways, right?
Blackness confirmed. You got soap.
Epic fail. Really, this was a little bit after when I first started growing. It was probably my second or third. I think it was my second attempt at growing. And spoiler alert, it was a fail. But the way it failed was, I started to gain some knowledge and really understand the different stages of growth at the time, right? So I planted in soil, had, I think it was like 4 or 5 seedlings in one container, one of those rectangle type ones, right? So it's like, what is it, like 6 inches by like a foot or something like that, those rectangle ones. So I had like 5 in there, and I just had it in my backyard in behind like this huge tree. And my dad never went in my backyard. He like
Just didn't look there.
he just never. He was always in the house, or he'd go out the front door and just go out and do his thing. He never went into the backyard. So I was like confident that he wasn't going to go back there and find him. But he just happened to go outside and look behind there and notice this grow pot, or rectangle grow pot that was up above ground, and there was plants growing in there, and he went over there and he recognized what they were.
Because your dad was cool. Back in the day, he was cool.
He didn't smoke though. No, he was kind of against it and stuff. I mean, he had tried it and stuff like that, but it wasn't really for him. But he noticed what they were, and these were like, they looked beautiful. It's probably around day 14 of seedling or so. Multiple leaves on it. Can clearly tell that it's canna. And he knew. He ripped them out of the ground, and he came storming over to me inside the house. He's like, Chris.
Not your sister.
I know, that's surprising, right?
Right.
Like, why did you not think it was my sister? Because my sister's the one that got me into it.
I would have thought
she was your plug. She was the plug, right? But he comes over to me and he's like,
That's Rob knowing the
there are
backstory.
marijuana plants in
Shouts
the
out to them.
backyard. What is this? I'm like, what?
No, wait, that's stupid. Who would do
no,
that?
those aren't. Are you sure? Like, I don't think so. I think they're just kind of weeds growing in there. I'm not really sure.
In Canada, we blame it on
all
the
right,
Indian
well,
and the
I
red
guess
tube.
you ripped them out, so whatever. Okay. Peace. And then that was it. Like, I didn't get any major trouble or anything.
He wasn't sure either.
Just kind of denied it and stuff.
He's a good actor.
No, he knew. And yeah, he was always against it. And he, rest in peace. He passed 2.5 years ago, but he never really wanted me to do it until I was working in the industry. And then he realized that it was a thing, and it was becoming more and more legal, and then it became more and more accepting. There's
It's on one of these pieces of papers already
one of the old
written
ones that
down.
were
I just
against
gotta
it for
go
so
look
long.
through that
Prohibition,
list of shit
it's
to
so
do when I
bad,
got
the
money
devil's
to do it,
lettuce.
right?
But he flip-flopped, which is really cool to see. And I think a lot of the older generation is doing that flip-flop.
Mm-hmm.
They're understanding there are medical benefits on this, and they're kind of changing their stance on the plant overall. So,
And boy, he's super proud of you now, brother. Let me tell you the things you've been doing.
I wouldn't want my kid growing weed in the backyard as a young kid.
You can.
Like, what are you doing, brother? You're gonna need to wait. This is crazy. You're gonna
Just
take
buy a yard,
Right.
especially when it's illegal.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
Yeah, it was a different time.
And this was brickweed, and you put them all in the same pot, boy. What are you?
What are you doing, Christopher?
What is this
I
shit?
still didn't know what I was
The
doing.
sun isn't even hitting me.
Oh, no, there was direct sunlight this time.
Okay.
He learned that lesson.
It was wide open. I knew that I needed more sunlight at this point. Yeah, no, it was good. It would have been successful. I'm confident in my younger abilities there, but it ended up being an epic fail, man. Ripped out of the ground by him.
They call them kid grow it. Kid grow it. Kid grow it. That's good. We need a little skit of that, dude. I have a confession, boys. I have a confession. It was a long time ago, probably 2024, 2016. I was confused. I was a little. You were on the auto. Sure, my dude. You took the words. I was behind the barn, dude, and my property, and dude, I grew an auto. Oh my God! Wait, listen, brother. We accept you no matter what. You're still our friend as long as you don't come at me weird. Oh yeah, boy. Now I know. No. I've never grown an auto. I don't know what's an auto. I've never. No, dudes, I got one, man. This is one this was one of the major learning curves for me, dude. I was gonna start off again. I was young, I was dumb. No, this is a couple weeks ago. It was like the first time I decided I was going to take on more than one or two genetics at a time. Felt really confident with where I had been, what I had been growing, the things that I had accomplished, and I thought, and I was creating content really early on, and I thought, I'm going for this, man. And I decided to take on 15 different genetics. It's funny. I see these young cats today on the internet doing the same thing. And I'm like,
now, like he just said, he went from growing one genetic consistently throughout his grow, meaning whatever his plant count or whatever he was doing, it was all the same genetic, to growing 15 different genetics. Wow. That is straining on you, because now you got to keep up with 15 different fucking side notes. Shout out to the Side Notes 2026 playlist. Six Bows, I see you. We over here doing RTHIN to the G. But yeah, that man, the most genetics I've done at one time was like 5 or 6. Except for that last run, it was all the Son of Odin seed genetics that he sent me, which I believe was like 12 different genetics. So, hey, you got to be ready to handle the loads, though, right? She says, stop yawning. Hell, this is Day of the Dead, okay? Shouts out to this. That's exactly what that is, Day of the Dead. Why do they call it Day of the Dead? I didn't know at first, but I found out, right? It's called Day of the Dead for a reason. Hell.
we're not going to hear from you in 4 months. You're going to go completely silent. And that's what happened to me, man. I didn't go silent, but it was like, it took like 4 months, and it became very clear that my one-size-fits-all regimen didn't fit all. And I pretty much lost all of those genetics, good quality genetics, because I simply got overwhelmed. I took on way more than I could handle. The plants all needed to be treated differently, trained differently, fed differently, different climates. And I just took on a one-size-fits-all approach, and it was an epic fail. Just about everything died. It was the biggest headache I'd ever had. And that's where I kind of learned the analogy of like, take it slow. Don't grow so many plants at a time. Grow like one genetic and grow a few of those genetics, but just keep it to 1 or 2 genetics, because there's phenotypes, there's varieties within genetics that'll give you enough of a hard time, or enough of a curveball that you don't need to make it hard on yourself. And so that was a lesson that really set me on the path that I am on today of taking it slow. Don't change much. If you're going to change something, change one thing at a time and see how that change impacts everything. Don't change 2, 3 things at a time, because if something changes, what was it that you changed that had the impact? So these are just little mini lessons that I had to learn along the way that shapes me to who I am today. Dude, I did something similar, but it was with my clones. I had so many genetics, and I'm an idiot, and I did it as like left corner, right corner, bottom corner, this and that. And then I one day go in, just moving stuff, not thinking, and I spun the cloner around. And then I'm like, oh fuck, left corner is no longer left corner. Oh shit! Like how do you identify cuts? Little clones. You can't. No, so I had to grow them all the way out, and there was some I wanted to cull, but I couldn't because I didn't know. So I had to grow everything all the way out, and then my dumbass didn't properly clone the one I liked the most. It was a headbanger, is one of them. Didn't clone it because I had so many labeled that were mislabeled, and I went based on midway through flower that I was like, oh, that's this one, and
totally wrong. I lost Regulate and Headbanger, the two of my favorite smokes ever. One of them made the list recently on one of our videos, and Headbanger. So it's like, if you don't have proper labeling, you
I've been
don't
caught up on
change up
Headbanger since I've
your
been watching
process
them.
for the variety of genetics that you have, you're going to probably lose all of them or not perform well with majority of them. And you're better off to monocrop at that point or grow one or two genetics than a whole bunch, in my opinion. If you have the space, maybe, and the aptitude, maybe, and you don't have a regular 9-to-5 or kids or any other hobby, maybe. But dude, anything over 5 genetics at a time concurrently becomes a commercial growth setting. You know what I'm saying? We're in a commercial grow. This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.
I don't even smoke out of bongs.
What?
No.
Why? Because you get too high?
No, motherfucker. I come from the crack era.
So you don't dab. I know that.
Anything with a torch.
You're not dabbing.
Anything with a torch and some motherfucking glass, nigga, that's drugs. That's drugs. You're graduating. You're escalating.
I mean, I've been with a homie that just loves cocaine, and he keeps it in little hash jars because with all his hash, so if he gets pulled over.
Great.
And you know when hash gets dry, it gets like chunky and like powder.
Yeah.
So I'm fucking at my house, I'm dabbing, and I grab his jar. I'm like, what is that? It's just funky.
Yeah.
Pour it in, I hit it. As soon as I hit it, I go, I know this is the last smoke crack before. And he came in like, no, you like,
dude.
damn near cried for me.
Yeah.
Because I dabbed like a 0.3 of that shit.
You was on that pookie.
I smelled that shit. I don't know if you ever smoked it. You sold it.
No. I've never done cocaine, ever.
Good.
I've never done it ever in my life. I'll sell you some, but I mean, hey.
What some people consider to be the most important state when it comes to legalization is Florida. Florida is the third largest state in the country by population, and the battle for legalization is heating up, and it's heating up fast, no pun intended. The polls are clear. Americans demand legalization, but despite all that, lawmakers and the courts are making it really difficult as they launched an investigation and threw out almost 300,000 petitions, which all but make sure that recreational herb will remain illegal in Florida.
A battle heating up in the Sunshine State over a potential ballot initiative to legalize recreational marijuana.
We are less than a week away from the deadline to obtain enough signatures to get on the 2026 ballot, and now state investigators are here in Broward County saying some of those signatures are fraudulent. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live in Fort Lauderdale with the story. Christina.
Those state investigators, according to the Broward County Supervisor of Elections, came here on Monday, Tuesday, again back this morning. They're saying that they are exploring potential fraud, but the campaign behind the initiative, they're pushing back on that claim. A spokesperson for Broward County Supervisor of Elections confirms state investigators were here Wednesday auditing petitions collected for a marijuana initiative, coming on the heels of this letter they received from the Florida Attorney General's office statewide prosecutor, letting them know the Office of Statewide Prosecution asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to open 46 criminal election fraud investigations related to Smart and Safe Florida petition circulators. Smart and Safe is the latest effort to legalize personal marijuana use, a committee up against a February 1st deadline to collect the required number of signatures to get the constitutional amendment initiative back on the ballot for you to consider.
This state will start to smell like marijuana.
You might remember the governor was vehemently opposed to the previous legalization
Everything's
effort,
gonna
which,
smell
despite
like
being
weed,
supported
man.
by a majority of
It's all
Floridians in
gonna smell like
2024,
weed.
failed to meet the required 60% super majority threshold to pass.
I don't like
And
the
as
way it
chief of
smells
staff
already,
back then,
so
James
weed would be an
Uthmeyer, who is
improvement.
now Florida's Attorney General. This letter states state investigators are looking into whether Smart and Safe Florida violated any criminal laws by knowingly submitting fraudulent petitions to election officials. In a statement to Local 10 News, Smart and Safe Florida spokesperson says from the months-long delay in sending the ballot language to the court to the after-the-fact nullifying of ballot petitions, it seems there is nothing that will stop the administration from preventing these voters from having their say.
And it does appear that that's something that we're seeing happening in this particular situation. The lawmakers are trying to roll back some of these ballot measures and also invalidate some of the petitions claiming that they're not legally gathered. And on top of that, if we take it back to 2024, Amendment 3 was a bill which was circulated and proposed in Florida, which would have legalized recreational sales, but it would have also monopolized the...
And we all know what this goes back to. You first use your freedom of speech to tell the people that are in control what you want to have happen. And then after they're proving to not listen to you, you use your Second Amendment. Yes, shots out to the Second Amendment. That was the first part of the video. Rewind it back if you just got in the chat. If you're on replay, you already know what we say. Stay popping.
Market and prevented home grows. So there were a lot of folks in Florida who were actually all for recreational herb but voted against that bill because it was simply a bad bill. And what we saw back then and what we're still seeing right now is that Governor DeSantis over in Florida, he's against legalization of recreational herb. And his administration has spent tons of money to fight it, battle it, and block it, not only in the form of media and advertising, but also in the form of lawsuits. And recently, the state has rejected 270,000 petitions, which leaves the initiative short ahead of the deadline. Have a look.
There's a Sunday deadline in the effort to get recreational marijuana on Florida's ballot this November. More than 100,000 signatures are still needed as the state is working to weed out invalid and fraudulent petitions. Action Jack State local government reporter Jake Stofan is live downtown, and Jake, those efforts have so far kept the campaign reaching its signature goal.
And that campaign, Smart and Safe Florida, tells me over the course of this 2-year effort, 270,000 petitions have been thrown out, deemed fraudulent or invalid by the state. While there are some examples where genuine fraud is alleged, the vast majority of these petitions were essentially thrown out due to technicalities. With only 2 days left, the renewed effort to give voters a second shot at legalizing recreational marijuana in Florida is still 120,000 signatures short. That's after the Smart and Safe campaign claims 270,000 petitions were tossed out by the state. Florida's Attorney General has opened at least 50 criminal investigations into alleged petition fraud and teased dozens more will be announced in the coming days, saying, quote, "At this point, it's apparent that Smart and Safe Florida's petition fraud touches nearly all of Florida's 67 counties."
Everybody wants fair and clean elections. But fair and clean elections means that every vote is counted.
Jody James with the Florida Cannabis Action Network has worked on citizen-led initiatives in the past. She notes Florida lawmakers have spent years passing laws aimed at restricting the citizen initiative process. And while state leaders have emphasized alleged cases of fraud, the bulk of the invalidated petitions have been due to a lack of compliance with those new laws, like requirements for petition gatherers to be Florida residents, including the full amendment text on petitions, and stringent return deadlines.
If Smart and Safe isn't able to get this to the ballot this time, I think it's going to have a chilling effect on future initiatives being able to make the ballot.
Voters like Raheem Moses say they're skeptical the state's efforts are truly centered around election integrity, suggesting instead the ordeal stinks of politics.
I strongly believe that they are throwing all these ballots out there, holding up the process. They don't really want it to go through.
Brandon Austin says he feels if the initiative doesn't make the ballot, he and millions of other voters' voices will be silenced.
I mean, we're supposed to live in a democratic country, and that's supposed to be the idea, is that the people make the decisions first.
And unfortunate.
Somebody needs to go back to high school, because last time I checked, as said in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America, it's to the Republic. This is not a fucking democracy. It's a republic. Okay? Go back to school, guys. Go back to school. On the news talk about this is supposed to be a democracy. No, it's a republic, you dumbass, which means when shit don't go the way the people would supposed to vote for it to go, that's why it's a republic, because somebody vetoed their fucking say. Which isn't supposed to happen, which is why you complain about it being a republic, not a democracy. In a perfect democracy, yes, as soon as you vote on something and the majority rules, the majority done said what's finna go on. But hell, in a republic, the majority can say one thing, but the people that are in position to change what was said do.
This is nothing new. We've seen it happen time and time again across multiple states. The lawmakers think they know what's best for the people, and what they say should go. And like I always say, when it comes to legalization, intrinsically tied to that is politics. So there's no way that you can talk about legalization of the good herb without talking about politics. For instance, over in Florida, you need a supermajority, and the lawmakers are passing all of these rules, laws, and regulations to make it so much harder for some of these ballot measures to even appear on the ballot. And that's exactly what Smart and Safe Florida, who's pushing for legalization, is saying. Have a look.
In a statement, the Smart and Safe campaign accused the Department of State of, quote, using every means necessary to stifle the voices of over 1 million Florida voters who have lawfully and legally signed petitions. Back in 2024, a similar ballot initiative led by Smart and Safe got almost 56% voter support, which was just shy of the 60% it needed to pass. For local coverage and Count on Live Downtown, I'm Jake Stofan.
So now, unfortunately, with that deadline of February 1st being yesterday, not enough signatures were amassed, and now the Florida campaign fails to qualify for the legalization initiative for the November ballot. So it's all really unfortunate. And truth be told, it's quite disappointing, especially when you see lawmakers like Ron DeSantis pushing against legalization, despite the fact that so many Florida voters are all for it. They've actually been demanding it, and the polls are absolutely clear. But it's not about what I think, it's about what you guys think. So drop your thoughts and concerns in the comment section down below. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a back and forth which was had on a mainstream media outlet where they discussed whether Florida should legalize for recreational sales. But before we get into that, just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. We got that new American grown hoodie up, the good herb. Use that code ICANNTHC and grab it now. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics. Use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and the seeds.
We have tried to get recreational marijuana on the ballot for a while.
So you have been analyzing our social media pages to try to figure out what people are talking about. As you take the pulse of Central Florida, what are they saying about this whole recreational marijuana deal?
Well, there, at the last I looked, there was like 250,000 views. A lot of people had seen this post.
Was that on Facebook?
That's on Facebook. Actually, we do have. Should I just play the? You want me to? Let's play this.
Can you do it?
Yeah, let's go for it. One second.
Could recreational marijuana ever become legal in Florida? This is the post right here that has everybody talking. About 250,000 views and hundreds of comments. It links to this article at clickorlando.com that says recreational marijuana could go to Florida voters again this year. And not surprising, there are a lot of different opinions on this one. Tim says, it should be legal. Helped my wife a ton with her cancer and autoimmune. Michael says, allow personal cultivation and I'll vote for it. Otherwise, it's just a way for the dispensaries to get rich and you'll not get my vote. Scott says, it's already a no without a personal grow option. Karen says, people can't think and drive straight now. This is all we need. Diane says, nope. I hate the smell of it. It's bad enough everyone and their mom is smoking it. Kids come to school smelling like it. Anthony says, please no, it'll smell the whole state. It's all you smell. You drive around town already. Christopher says, legalize it. Create job protection as well. Travis says, it's 2026. No one cares if it's illegal or not. It's still going to get smoked. So what do you think? Is this the year?
Still going to get smoked.
It's still going to get smoked. Well, that's kind of, make sure I'm unmuted here. That's kind of, there's like three things, if I remember correctly. There's the people who like, we want to be able to grow this ourselves. A lot of those comments. So they're basically like, we're voting no until that gets added. A lot of people are like, no, it smells terrible. And that we go, everywhere we go, we can smell this. And then, I don't remember what the third one was now.
Those are interesting points, though, and I think that's one of the reasons that this hasn't passed yet is because in previous iterations they don't allow you to grow it yourself.
Yeah.
People are saying, why do I have to pay a company if you're going to allow this to do this? And so it seems like a money grab.
But have you ever been to a place where it is legal?
Yeah. It stinks. And people smoke it all day.
Everywhere.
I went to Canada with my family. It was 9:45 a.m. walking down downtown Vancouver.
Somebody's glaucoma was
and
acting
this
up.
guy was really, he was going after that glaucoma hard with the vape pen. And it was like, man, you can smell it down the block. So I understand people's reservations when it comes to that.
Yeah. And I want people who really need it to have it, but it's...
Which they should now.
Of course. But still, just taking that in, if you're just trying to go for a stroll or whatever, get some fresh air, it's not so fresh out there sometimes. But
But like the one viewer said, people are smoking it anyway.
Doesn't matter.
What, they're doing it recreational, that's for sure.
So there's so many different points of view when it comes to legalization. And like I said earlier on in the show, Amendment 3 back in 2024 did not pass simply because a lot of folks wanted to grow their own. That bill prevented people from being able to grow their own. And that's why a lot of folks who actually consume the good herb or are in favor of legalization, they actually voted against it. Because let's be real, there are many folks who prefer to grow it themselves rather than grab the corporate.
Which is why I say you got to pay attention to everything. I mean, if you ain't on point, you gonna get the pointy end. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna get put on point. What happened? You wasn't paying attention to who was walking in with the needle, so now you're the one getting jabbed with it. Hey, if you don't see the person walk in that's got the needle, that means you got to be on point. If you don't see the needle coming, then you're probably the one getting it. So that's why I said, hell, it's one of those things where if you're not paying attention, it really bites you off in the ass, especially when it comes to the laws. Because hell, if you signed up for the law just because it gave you rec, but then it restricted home grow, then that would be retarded. And yes, I said retarded. The people that don't like the word, leave a comment about it. It's in the English dictionary. Y'all know how we feel about that. If you want to control what other people say, go sit in the corner, because that's not going to happen around here. We got a First Amendment. Therefore, I'm going to say what I've chose to say. And I don't worry about being canceled. That's why we on Rumble, baby. We ready for this. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it just makes zero sense that, oh, well, you can't grow cannabis because we want companies to be able to sell you cannabis. No, y'all get paid off of me buying the equipment because I had to work and pay taxes on the money I earned and then pay taxes on everything that I buy type shit. So, yeah, we trying to cut out buying too much shit from too many people. That way I still got some money because I ain't spent it all in taxes.
Walmart booth. So it'll be really interesting to see where Florida eventually lands on this issue. But it's really sad to see that it'll unfortunately not make it onto the ballot for 2026. Now, despite that, there are other states who are taking notes from Florida, and one of those states is surprisingly California, who's actually making it a lot harder for police to search your car only due to smell. Now, before we get into that, I do want to stick on that theme, the smell of the good herb. A lot of folks in the previous clip actually cited that as a reason why they're against legalization. And that smell was probably super overwhelming over in New Jersey because a cannabis dispensary caught fire, and unfortunately, 2 firefighters were injured. Have a look.
New at 6 o'clock, a 3-alarm fire injured 2 firefighters overnight in Essex County, New Jersey. Investigators believe it started inside a cannabis dispensary on the 2nd floor of the building on Clinton Avenue in Irvington. The flames shot through the roof there. Hospital doctors treated and released the 2 injured firefighters. No word just yet on the cause of that fire.
So over in New Jersey, tons of herb, tons of products was lost to that fire. But over in New York, we've seen a similar situation where Jay Uno lost his blunt. Not as crazy, but it's quite funny. Check it out.
Snow has Bronx residents battling, and that means searching for something unusual. Our cameras caught up with Jay Uno.
Snow violated. I was paying.
As he looked for a blunt, he says slipped out of his hand. Heavy snow has Bronx residents battling, and that means searching for something unusual. Our cameras caught up with Jay Uno.
Snow violated. I was paying.
As he looked for a blunt, he says slipped out of his hand.
So that's pretty funny, and I'm sure that you guys may have experienced that at least once. But let's take it over.
Now, what's funny is I had that clip in Sunday's video, so y'all can go back and watch it in Sunday video for those that didn't see. But hell, that's hilarious because even Matt that reviewed that clip. Hey, we all go get it. We all go get it. I appreciate. I wasn't the only one who found that clip this week.
But to California, because on a more serious note, the High Court has ruled that having loose herb
I wasn't the only one. Matt had watched that one. I see the same clip as in my video and Matt's video.
Start though with weed wheels and what's legal. Loose marijuana on your car floor, is it illegal or just a mess?
Your reporter covering Sacramento County's Madison Keevy, she's been looking into this. The local case that made it to California's highest court, Madison.
Well, just weed crumbs on the back seat floor that weighed 1/3 of a gram, about the weight of this dollar bill. It's not a lot. The Sacramento stop that it was involved in this court ruling had to do with this amount of weed and draws a new line for police.
Core issue of this case is using something
something very small, marijuana crumbs, detritus, as a way to violate people's rights.
The case out of Sacramento. Police officers stopped a car and searched it, finding weed crumbs, about the third of the size of a grape, 1/80th of the legal amount of marijuana on the floorboards of the back seat. Nearby, a tray commonly used to roll joints. Officers considered it an open container violation, enough to prompt their search. The court's decision says otherwise. If you can't easily consume it, having marijuana in your car does not give California police the right to search the vehicle. The decision noted no officers suggested concerns that the driver or passenger could have reached the scattered bits of marijuana to consume it. Nor was there evidence of paraphernalia, such as matches, lighters, rolling papers, blunts, or vaporizers that could facilitate the marijuana's consumption. John Stoller says he's not speaking on behalf of the public defender's office, but as the public defender on this specific case.
So what we're seeing is kind of a culture shift in California, I think, that recognizes that racial disparities in our criminal justice system are real.
The decision signals a clearer line on what's considered an open container, which most commonly when you think alcohol, but times are changing.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Madison.
Times are definitely changing. We're seeing more of an acceptance when it comes to the good herb that we've not seen in the past, which I think is fantastic. And in particular, some of these states taking steps to adjust some of these laws when it comes to unfair search and seizure, in particular due to smell emanating from the car or from open containers. I think that that's a good move, especially since we've seen so many people unfairly criminalized for the good herb in the past. Now, let me know what you guys think about everything that we discussed in today's video. Do you guys think that Florida will eventually legalize the good herb for recreational purposes, or do you guys think that it's going to be a consistent uphill battle? Drop your thoughts and concerns in the comment section down below. Now, in our next video, we've seen a situation across multiple states where lawmakers are cracking down on folks who are consuming herb and then driving, and police may throw you in jail for smoking weed last week. It's absolutely crazy. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's coming up right now.
From summer's end till the winter comes, till gray days turn to yellow ones. I stayed grinding for mine. I try to tell them once, to travel to the moon, you gotta brave the elements and battle many goons. You gotta cage the elephants. It's elementary. I speak with a certain eloquence. I smoke hella blunts, a habit I've been developed since I was a young boy playing the silver ball. See them stand, feel them fall. Metallica, kill them all. Living like this is my last moment, but a moment could last forever. Snap a picture in that, colon. Give whatever you going, sip in your glass, hold it up. Hit the side on mine, get the tip in the back, go in. So many days we were sitting low. Better get busy living till the day you give in and then get to go where the sinners go. Pulling the cash and spend it slow. Better make it fast redemption. No matter no money, yo, it's all expendable. You'll be all right, yeah.
And then, of course, y'all know before we go, right, we still got to make our Buy Me a Coffee post because y'all know 2026, we back talking about Buy Me a Coffee every freaking video. Every video. Why? Because in 2025, I spent a couple months not talking about Buy Me a Coffee and my numbers dropped. And y'all know I was trying to increase my numbers, so them dropping makes me do what I need to do to increase the numbers, right? If I get more Buy Me a Coffee participation for talking about Buy Me a Coffee, I'm going to talk about Buy Me a Coffee more. So since I got less participation without talking about it, you know what that means. I wasn't talking about it, so you can't grow the plant if you don't give it water, right? It grows when you water the plant, Fred. That's exactly what all we needed to know. Let's go over here to content. Shouts out to content. Because now we'll go over here to lives. This is the cheat code for y'all. I'll be letting y'all know what to do so y'all can just follow me, right? Because you see what we doing. We're going to get this shareable link, okay? It's copied to the clipboard. Shouts out to the clipboard. Now we're going to go to our Buy Me a Coffee, which I had pulled up beforehand. Yeah, we pulled it up beforehand. I seen something I needed to do while I was coming back over here anyways, which is what? It says January 24th, issued a payment. It just said I was receiving another one coming up here for February, but it's not showing it over here as the incompleted yet. So that might just actually be appearing in my account. Shouts out to the automatic payments because now they're getting back on their game, right? Right. Anyways, let's go back to view page. Make sure my payment wasn't on here yet. It's in the emails though, so I know to come look for it again in the morning, right? Yeah. Come look for it again in the morning, and then I'll be paid again, right? You got to make sure you're getting paid from people because they'll remind you, hey, we got a payment for you. You might want to double check and make sure it goes through, whether you have to file it manually or whether it automatically pays you. Either way, I'm cool with it. But either way, I'm going to double check. Today's video is Trump opens a canna business. OPEN a cannabis. Yeah, we're just gonna fucking insinuate what we're insinuating because we're insinuating. Features, share, click, publish. There's 51 followers. It was 52, I thought, but 51's good. We appreciate all the people that support our Buy Me a Coffee, whether you just go pick up a freebie or you actually drop some coffee, right? Either way, we appreciate it. Pick up the freebies preferably because that'll 10x our numbers right there by itself. We had 10 times more people buying our freebies. What do you mean buying your freebies? They were buying the freebies, okay? They went and got them 5 and 6 times. That's how much they wanted to buy them. Hell, if they could have gave me money for it, they probably would have. But that infused banana pudding recipe just couldn't sit there. You see what I'm saying? They had to do something with it. You know what I mean? Did they make a video and tag me in it? Probably not. But guess what? They should. Y'all know we over here live with it, and as I always say, try to be the first person that likes your video or your post. You see what I'm saying? That gives other people the inclination that somebody else has already liked it. Why am I being a hater? You dig? You ever go to somebody's post and don't nobody like it? So you mean to tell me you didn't even like your own post? Huh? You didn't even like your own post? Come on now, y'all know we gonna do better. That's why you get your monetization coaching from your boy, and we'll kick it later. Like I said, I'll be back 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. If not, you can catch me over on Spider Pig for Super Saturday. If not, y'all know I'll have short videos for you every day because hell, I'm trying to be around you every day. You know what I mean? You're gonna get tired of me. Man, this motherfucker Popcorn been in the game since he got in the game, and he ain't calming down. Hell, you thought I was going to retire at 40? Motherfucker, I'm here until I'm 4,040. So, y'all better get used to this. I'm going to be the problem that they can't get rid of. Well, what happened? Well, we gave Mr. Harper some water. What do you mean you gave him water? Do you know what he does with water? Hey, do you know what he does with water? And you gave him water.